Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas NMD sneakers. And this shoe has a retail price of $120 US and unfortunately has been sold out pretty much everywhere at the moment. I will leave a buy it now link down below in the description of this video that will take you to a page where pretty much everything that's available will be available. If everything's sold out, unfortunately it's sold out. But basically, if you're interested in a pair, there is a link in the description. Go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. All right, so here is a look at the actual sneakers. A lot of people are a big fan of this particular design. I really like the very first colorway that they showed and that released in fairly limited quantities, I think in December, if I'm not mistaken. That one had a prime knit upper as well, I believe, so it was a little bit different than these regular models that are retailing at $120, but nonetheless, it does have, for the most part, the same look, and I've kind of been waiting for the general release to actually happen. When it did happen, though, I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't think it was going to sell out or be as popular as it ended up being. I knew they were going to release like 6, 7, or 8 colors at launch, so I was pretty confident I was just going to be able to walk in and just get a pair or order a pair online. But they sold out everywhere online, which was a bit disappointing. Luckily, I did manage to get over to my local Foot Locker, and they did end up having a pair available in not necessarily my size, but a size that did fit me. These are an 8.5. Normally I wear a 9, 9.5, sometimes even a 10 in a lot of sneakers, but with these, they had an 8.5. I tried them on. They fit okay, and we'll talk about more about how these fit later during the on-feet portion of the video, but nonetheless, I did manage to get a pair that do fit me, and I'm pretty happy with this particular colorway. This colorway I didn't see online, and based on what the guy told me at the store, these were a Foot Locker exclusive. I could be wrong on that. I'm not 100% sure at all, but basically what you have here is what is kind of a black upper, but it also has this kind of olive green tinge to it, almost like a grayish tinge, I would say, in terms of the actual colors within the knitted upper. And the actual knitting itself is really, really nice. It's almost like prime knit looking, but it isn't. It's just a standard kind of mesh material. Very, very stretchy, pretty much all elasticated all the way through. The only thing that's going to reinforce it is this little kind of fused on tape band going across the middle of the forefoot, and then the Adidas stripes on either side. Other than that, it's a one-piece enclosure, as you guys can see, so you can't actually really open up the shoe. The laces don't do much as far as tightening the shoes unless you really, really pull on them. The laces are also really, really long, something I'm not crazy about. Really cool laces though. They're kind of a wide, flat lace. All the silver part that you see in the actual lace is reflective. I don't know why it's not focusing. Give it a second. There it goes. So you can see it's black and gray. The gray is reflective material. The black is not, but they're very, very bright and look good. You can see you have the blacked out Adidas branding or gray Adidas branding right there on the actual tongue, black on black Adidas stripes. The back here has a little bit of a pull tab, as you guys can see. And basically it says the brand with 3 stripes in various different languages. Not going to try and read it for you and butcher it, but you can see it right there. It says it in English on the left shoe. And then basically what I think makes this shoe as good looking as it is are these little kind of rectangular pieces they've added on either side of the actual Boost midsole. I think the Boost midsole looks very cool, but something about these little rectangle pieces just changes this shoe for me and what I assume is a lot of people given the popularity. I'm not sure if people are buying them because they actually like them or they're buying them to try and resell them. I haven't really gone on eBay to look at what people are trying to resell these for. I'm sure some people are asking some ridiculous prices for certain colorways, but I just think it's a good looking shoe. So you have this little kind of rectangular, it's actually foam. I wasn't sure based on pictures if it was plastic or foam, but it is actually foam. It's not Boost, but it's just a standard foam that's kind of just slapped on right there kind of as an attachment. You don't notice it when you're wearing it, but it is actually there on the shoe. You can see there's a red one right here at the front in the forefoot area with the Adidas branding there, kind of red on red. And then right here on the medial side, you again have another black rectangle. And again, it's just kind of a cool little design element. It's a very modern kind of look in terms of how it's shaped and having all the fuse on it and just being a very streamlined upper. But then you have the Boost foam, which also looks very modern. And then these little kind of rectangle pieces just give it a very kind of retro look, which I think is what people like about this shoe. I know that's what I like. For me, if these little rectangle pieces weren't there, it's probably one of those shoes that I honestly wouldn't even pick up just because it would look like another Boost Adidas shoe, but this just gives it that kind of unique factor, if you will. The Boost foam, obviously white in color. I've seen little kind of leaks and reports that we're going to see black or colored Boosts at some point in the future on this particular model. Not sure if that's real. If it is, that's kind of exciting because really up until now, all we've seen is white Boost foam midsoles. The bottom of the shoe, completely covered in rubber, which is nice. You can see some of the Boost peeking through in the little cutouts there, but it's mostly black with a little bit of red right there. You can see it says Adidas, and then again, the brand with 3 stripes in various languages. I believe you have English, German, French, and what's either I'm going to guess Japanese, but I could be 100% wrong on that, so correct me if I am wrong down below in the comment section. And then the inside of the shoe, it's basically like the Pure Boost models where you essentially have this kind of synthetic suede material, which is basically the insole. It's the barrier between your foot and the Boost foam outsole, which you're sitting basically directly on top of, which you would expect to be very, very comfortable, but these aren't quite as comfortable as other Boost shoes that I've tried on. Something I'll talk about again a little bit later in the video. So let me know your thoughts on this shoe down below in the comment section. Did you manage to get a pair? If you did, what colorway? Are you a fan of this shoe in general? Yes or no? But for me, I like them. The final product is really, really nice. The $120 price point isn't too crazy, which is good. I'm just really surprised at how crazy these things are selling out. They're kind of releasing in more and more colorways pretty much every weekend. I'm sure at some point they will be readily available both in store as well as online, at which point I probably will be picking up another colorway. But for the meantime, this very simple kind of black and red colorway, I'm really happy to have, and I'm happy I was able to get a pair, I guess, early on, if you will. So that's pretty much it. Again, let me know your thoughts on these down below in the comment section. The Adidas NMD, good shoe, bad shoe, what do you guys think? And with that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes look and of course what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the NMD sneakers on feet. On my left foot, you can see I have the stock laces that come with the shoes that, like I mentioned earlier in the video, are just really, really long. Although they're not actually super long laces, it's just long for the shoe given that it only has 3 lace holes. So on my right foot, I threw in some junior length black reflective SR4U replacement laces, which are basically the exact same length as the stock ones. And I don't think the stock ones look bad. I just think that given the style of this particular shoe, a slightly thinner lace, still with the reflective material, obviously black in color as well, just looks a little bit cleaner in general. I wish that both of these laces were a little bit shorter for this particular shoe, but I'm not even sure they make laces this short. Again, just because there are 3 lace holes only, so I'm not sure why the stock ones from Adidas didn't end up being shorter in the first place. But nonetheless, if you are interested in a pair of SR4U replacement laces, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're not as comfortable as I was expecting them to be, but they're not uncomfortable. They just don't live up to the same standard as other Boost shoes that I have. The Ultra Boost, the original Energy Boost runners, the Pure Boost that I have, those are all extremely comfortable shoes just because you are sitting directly on top of that Boost foam. It's really comfortable for running, it's really comfortable for casual wear. And while these are intended as casual wear shoes, I expected them, given the construction being very similar to the Pure Boost, to feel pretty similar to those, and honestly, they don't. You're sitting directly on top of Boost foam, which is great, but they're a lot firmer than I was expecting. Not to the point, again, where they're uncomfortable, just they don't have that same kind of Boost foam sensation that I was expecting. So just keep that in mind if you pick these up. If you have a pair of Pure Boost, those are gonna have a much more kind of heavily cushioned underfoot sensation than these will provide. These feel a lot firmer, a little bit lower to the ground, which again, depending on your preferences, you might actually like more, but if you're just looking for kind of pure underfoot cushioning that we've come to expect from Boost foam, this is not to the same comfort standard as what you can get from other models, but still plenty comfortable for casual wear. The mesh upper is super soft, super flexible. As far as the fit of the shoe is concerned, like I mentioned, I actually ended up getting an 8.5 US, which is smaller than pretty much any of my other sneakers. All my other sneakers are 9, 9.5, some of them are even 10, but they only had an 8.5. I tried them on. They ended up fitting. These are pretty much perfect in length. I'm right at the very edge. Second time around, if I were to get a pair and I had a size 9 as an option, I probably would go for that. So if anything, these do run a little bit big, but given the mesh upper, being that it's so stretchy and so thin, you're gonna fit in pretty much a range of sizes. You can go true to size, you can go half size up, you can go half size down, depending on what you get your hands on, and they all should fit you pretty well. I ended up going a half size down, and like I said, they still fit just fine, not too tight by any means, and overall, they are comfortable shoes. It's a thin mesh upper, a boost outsole, just that the boost foam isn't, like I said, quite as soft as what I was expecting, but still a comfortable shoe to wear casually nonetheless. And again, I really, really like how they look. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Adidas NMD. Again, if you're interested in a pair for yourself, click the very first link down below in the description of this video. If you have any questions at all regarding this particular shoe or any suggestions for other sneakers you'd perhaps like to see featured on the channel, leave those down below in the comment section. I'll answer all of your questions and take a look at everything you guys have to say. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for more sneaker reviews, of course. All my social media information is linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.